Hello everyone, this is Genius Yoshi, and today we are playing Mono Ruby! Good old mono red, single ink type, just giving ourselves a challenge and kind of push the boundaries of our deck, because we're going to have to go into some of the cards that aren't as mainstream to try and reach our 60 card limit, 60 card minimum, and we'll see just how well the deck does when we put it in action with some games. But for now, we got a deck build. Alright, so we're in Ruby. What do we like in Ruby? The Maleficent Monstrous Dragon is quite nice, but only if you're playing up until a lot of ink. Same thing with Be Prepared, they're good in controlless shells, but I'm not sure which Ruby we can't shore up our weakness in card draw with, say, Amethyst, that tends to draw and get all of the bouncing. We're going to have to shore up our weaknesses with whatever we've got. Alright, so I'm not going to go after the big removal spells right away. We'll see if they fit. Now this one is a very nice removal spell. Lady Tremaine, just forcing the opponent to sacrifice a character. It's just a very strong card on its own. Doesn't necessarily need to be in a controller's shell. So we're going to be starting our build with a full playset of Lady Tremaines. In terms of Ruby, Ruby doesn't have much card draw, but Queen of Hearts Sensing Weakness gives us a lot of card draw for the price of having attackers and having her in a play. And she also has a shifting target, which is Queen of Hearts Impulsive Ruler. And Impulsive Ruler is really good at taking out pesky Maleficents or Lilo that are overextended, or even a Pinocchio that's not aware yet, still just wooden puppet and not a boy aware of the Queen of Hearts that's just coming and taking it out. What else do I really like in a generic Ruby shell? Well, I like Maui. Maui's a nice inkable removal style character, very bulky, does a great job. I do like Mulan. Dragonfire maybe, but I really want to start with what do I absolutely want to play that's kind of good in a generic way. You can think of it as a super limited, where we're trying to pick good cards, we're trying to get a nice curve, get our inkables under control, and have a somewhat consistent game plan. Shere I really like, especially since we're already going with some of the combat mechanics with the Queen of Hearts. I think Queen of Hearts, Shere are kind of mainstay of the Mono Ruby archetype, because they provide a lot of value. And also when we're playing cards like Maui, it just naturally fits, gives us a bit of extra value. Namaari is also a nice one that is quite interesting. A nice removal spell, uninkable though. Let's include a pair of Namaari to begin with. Next up, what do we want next? Well, we do need a win condition. One problem that I do tend to have with Ruby is when you're playing some of these cards like Maui and Reckless Rushers, well, they don't quest. So we do need to have a win condition. And as a 3-drop, we have Minnie Mouse Stylish Surfer that's been seeing some play in some top-end tier lists, really. It's a very strong card, nice evasiveness, good quester on the side. I still like Pongo, and Pongo's probably going to make the list, so let's add it as a 4-of for now. Where it's a nice tool to apply pressure, and if you don't need it, well, it's inkable. So what do we have so far? So far we have a pair of 5, pair of 4s, some 3s, a 2, and Lady Tremaine at 6. Alright, well, we need a bit more in the early game, and that's where things get a little dicey. There's not much in terms of 2-drops. There's Teeth and Ambition, which is a great removal spell, as long as you can fit in some 3 willpower characters. And, well, that leads us to, like, what, Donald Duck? Minnie Mouse has been seeing some play, but Minnie Mouse serves a dual purpose, triple purpose. One, she's a nice threat to take out these pesky 1/1s. She will stand a 2/3 or a 2/2 attacking her, and she's also good with the removal spell we just talked about, Teeth and Ambitions, where you can ping your Minnie, she'll live, ping an opponent's character, and one of the main reasons why she's played, apart from being some anti-pressure that allows, or some pressure that prevents the opponent from being too aggressive, is that she plays very well with the mana mins, where if you just want to play the mana min and pay 1 extra ink, doesn't matter, play your little Minnie, or even get a quest out of your Minnie, bounce her right back. But in just Mono Ruby, we don't have access to those mana mins. So Minnie Mouse, not as great. I think I'm going to try my hand with some Felicias. Always hungry. 3-1 reckless. She kind of behaves like a small Captain Hook, yet not as good as the Captain Hook. She's reckless, she's a cheap attacker, so let's try playing some copies. Now the other consideration with Minnie Mouse is we are playing some Shurikens as well as the Queen of Hearts. So maybe it's worth including her in a couple of copies. Just as a cheap attacker. Our other option is Surgeon Tibbs. But I think 1-3 is better than 2-2 in general. And that's all we have for 1-drops, really. Which brings us to our 2-drops. Have access to Gaston. Gaston's a nice threat, but if we are going to be playing with for a full playset of Felicia and a full playset of Maui, having another reckless non-quester is a bit too much. I've tried it before in one of my early attempts at ruby-amethyst, and it became a vulnerability for the deck. So let's keep Gaston off to the bench for now. We do have access to Lefou. Has 2-2 ready a character, which is pretty decent. So maybe we'll play a pair of Lefou. Do we need more? With 4 Queen of Hearts. And now 6 1-drops. That's probably good enough for our 2-drops. Next up, well, small Aladdin to big Aladdin is tempting. The big Aladdin is a big threat, and when you can shift him with the surprise effect, he's very good. Smaller Aladdin's not as great. But what are the alternatives, really? That's a bad evasive one. Or play a Floodborn character, opponents lose 1 lore is not really what we're looking for. With the limitation, Dinner Bell also becomes quite interesting, since we can banish one of our characters to draw a lot of cards, and it's based off of damage on the character. Question is, are we playing a lot of high willpower characters? Not really. We have Maui, and we have Lady Tremaine, but that's not ideal. So then we look back. Dragon still seems quite appealing, but without a ton of card draw. We do have to ask ourselves the question, do we want to set a ceiling on our ink curve? And do we want that ceiling to be 9? I don't think we want that ceiling to be 9. We want it to be at least 6 with Lady Tremaine, and maybe 7 is the magic number. That way we get to include the pair of Aladdins, shore up our 3-drops, or kind of complete our 3s, and then you just wrap up the list. So I think that's what we're going to go for. So we're going to go with a playset of Aladdins, both small and the big Aladdins. We'll call 7 our top end, and we are going to ignore Be Prepared and Maleficent Dragon, because we don't have the card advantage to recover from that. Could also be playing like a one-off Be Prepared to get our opponent off guard, and when they're not prepared, just nuke the board. Also a good alternative. So at 46, I'm happy with the 1, 2, 3s. 4s, maybe we have the spot for the Namaaris. Our uninkables are looking alright. Just have Lady Tremaine and Namaari, and I'm happy with both. So let's complete the playset of Namaaris. Brings us to 48. Can probably even afford a pair of Dragonfires just to complete our set of removal. That way we have 4 Namaaris, 2 Dragonfires, 4 Lady Tremaines, and our big beater attackers with Felicia and Maui. Aladdin's nice pressure, I'm happy with that. And ink curve is fine. So now we want inkable top ends to wrap up our list. So we just look at the 5+. And we said we were going to stop at 7. So these cards are going to be essentially banned for now. Yeah, you really don't want to get into playing Lumiere. What does this thing do? When you play this, exert opponent character at cost 3 or less. Not a big fan of Ratigan. I do like Mulan, so we're going to be playing full playset of Mulan, and she's inkable, which is a nice plus. Then we get to the 6. Stitch has just 4/6 quest for 3. It's actually pretty solid stats. Might end up playing some abominations. She's really an abomination. But stats are good. Stats are pretty good. Also Tigger, another evasive. Although, instead of Tigger, I think I'd rather be playing some goofies. 3/4 evasive for 5 is quite decent. Or I can go for the big beater, 5/5 quest for 2. 5/5 for 5. It kind of feels bad to be going after some card soldiers. Maybe we just mix it up. Play a pair of card soldiers, play a pair of goofies, and we need a pair of something else. We can banish Tekkas. Nice sideboard tech against no one, because no one's playing Tekka. And maybe a pair of the Big Stitch. Yep, we are in vanilla characters. That's what happens when we restrict ourselves to playing only one ink type. Sometimes you just have to fill in the curve and fill in the spot with whatever we have, which is also a good lesson if you're looking at some of these expensive lists online and you don't have access to infinite cards, you just have what you've had in your packs. You try to fill in your ink curve best you can. You play the best cards that you have, and then you look, and sometimes some of these vanilla characters, like card soldiers, like the Big Stitch, Abomination, they feel like abominations to put in your deck because they're not best in class. They don't have this flashy abilities, but they have a lot of stats. They have good value. You're going to be inking them most of the time, but they're still big threats, and they fit in the ink curve. And I'd rather have that Stitch Abomination late game with 6 ink than my super, it's just a normal rare, than a Shuriken at that point in time. The bigger stats, if played right on time, are going to be more impactful than that sweet ability in a lot of the cases, at least now with the 2 sets of Lorcana that are available. As we get more sets, there's going to be more options with sweet abilities where the vanilla characters are going to get shoved to the side. But for now, this is what we're going to be playing. Mono Ruby. It's not a magic mono red hyper aggressive. It's really just, what do we have in Ruby, and can we make it work well enough to take some games? Well, all that remains to find out is to bring the deck in action with some games. Let's go Mono Ruby against Ember Steel. Probably a top tier songs deck. Alright, well, I'm not overly encouraged to begin, but this is a pretty decent hand. We'll send back Lady Tremaine, because we already have a big game plan of a small Aladdin to big Aladdin going first, which is always nice. And now we've completed our set of inkable cards. Nothing on turn 1 or 2 is a little troublesome. Thankfully we're on the play. On the draw, that could be devastating. So we'll open up with Ink Go. That's a nice little fox picture there for the deck sleeves. Opponent inks a dock and plays a queen. Alright, we find a small Minnie. I'm not sure I have much to do with that Minnie though. So I think I'm just going to ink her and pass. Living life on the edge. Beast Selfless Protector. Okay, that's an interesting list. And a Grand Duke. So it could be a Princesses and Queens style deck. So we find another Minnie mouse. So with our opponent playing steel, we have to worry about grab your sword, smash, and all that jazz. I think we'll ink one of the minis. And go with our surfer. Our surfer do that. Just a quick quester that cannot be challenged. The opponent plays a dock. Nice ramping card. Find Shere. Shere is a nice pickup. But I think for now we ink our Mulan and prepare for the 1-2 Aladdin punch. And close the race a little bit with Aladdin stealing, well, removing one lore from the opponent, and Minnie Mouse just getting us 2 lore pips closer. So we're now banking on Aladdin. Opponent inks a Cinderella. Ooh, Mufasa. Nice. Mufasa's a fun card. If we take it out, opponent gets to play the top card of his deck for free, as long as it's a character. Here, Minnie is the easy inked card, as we get to shift Aladdin. Big Aladdin, still pretty powerful. 5/5, and if we banish one of the opponent's character, we get to drain them. 2 lore. Now there's an argument to go after any of those. Dock is ramp. The queen, if the opponent shifts a big queen on top of the small one, we're in for a world of hurt. If I go for Dock, the queen's already strong enough to just take out Aladdin. If we go after Duke, then Mufasa comes in. I think Mufasa wants to trade anyways. I'm just thinking about this. Alright, I think I'm going to go after the Dock. Remove the ramp. Drain 2 lore. And go to quest at the Minnie. And I'll pass the turn back. If the opponent's playing Mufasa, odds are they're playing some pretty heavy-hitting characters. So we'll take some of their lore out of play. Get the race back into our favor. Likely not for long. Opponent does go for the Mufasa trade. Because the Mufasa roulette is just so fun. Opponent finds a Grand Duke. So that queen is now a 4/2. Oh, and there's a Tiana with a vengeance. I like it. It's a nice list. Fortunately for you, dear opponent, we counter with Maui and we start taking out these Grand Dukes. And Minnie just keeps the pressure up. And that's fun. A Tiana with power. And already her base resist 2 is just pretty solid. Let's highlight Tiana there for a second. Once Tiana gets exerted, we can't play any actions. Oh, and the opponent needs no cards in hand for that trigger to have an effect. And our opponent is pretty close to that. So we find a Pongo. Do we just go for the evasive style win here? I think we double Shere. Apply some pressure. Just terrorize our opponent with the double tiger. Double tiger terror. That sounds cool. Should that be the name of the video? Probably not. should be making a share count video. Just all about the triggers. Opponent drops a Benja. The race is close. The opponent has the first questing here on the road to the race. Presumably that's a good card. Oh, it's a 4-drop. Opponent empties their hand. They empty their hand to make sure that we don't get to play an action against Tiana. Mulan's a nice pickup with the Shere count. But the opponent can quest for 7, so we need to take out two questing power. We can tag team Tiana with the Shere count. Can even take out the queen if we're willing to send Minnie to Tiana. Oh no, there's resist 2. We can't take out Tiana. Resist 2 means that Shere count's going to hit her for 1. And if we go after the queen, that's just one tick. So you have to go after Tinkerbell. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. Opponent goes to 19. Yeah, we have to go after the Tinkerbell. Double Shere count trigger. Go after Tinkerbell. Single Shere count trigger. We go to 15. And then what? Pongo's not good enough. So I guess we go Mulan. Although Mulan's not enough either. That gives us a bit more combativeness. As opponent drops Namaari, bodyguard mode. Opponent goes to quest. It's sad. It's because we had to go against the Tinkerbell. The fact that we lost a Shere count in the first combat means that we didn't get that extra pip of lore, and then with the Pongo we would have gotten it. But we didn't. So now we're going to take out Namaari with Mulan. Because we can. Increase Minnie's ability to quest. Quest to 18. Drop a big Stitch. And lose the game. So close. So close. But we just couldn't make it through. Alright, Ruby versus Ruby and other stuff. Ruby Amber. We find Aladdin, pair of Mulans, a big Queen of Hearts, card soldier, Stitch, and a Namaari. We need an earlier drop, ideally. So we're going to send a lot of these heavier cards back to the deck. Let's keep Queen of Hearts, Aladdin. Find Lefou, another Queen of Hearts, and the big Aladdin. That's pretty decent. So what's our game plan? 2, 3, 4, 5's Aladdin, probably. I really hate throwing away a Queen of Hearts. It's such a good card. But it doesn't quite fit our game plan. Stitch goes away. You know what? No pressure. I don't really want to play a Lefou on an empty board. So we're going to ink it, pass a turn back. Make some room for bigger threats. Opponent inks a Queen of Hearts and a Lantern. It's ramping time. I don't want 2 Street Rat Aladdins, just the one's good enough. Don't want an infestation of Street Rats. Of course, we waste the ability, so this is a very glorified and overexpensive 2-2 for 3. But it's a shifting target, which is what we care about. Ooh, Lady Tremaine's a nice pickup. At this point, I'm going to ink Maui, so I can play the Pongo on turn. I really liked having Maui, especially with Queen of Hearts. But I needed to play something on turn 4. And I do really want to keep that last Queen of Hearts. Opponent Mufasa's. It's just whenever it's banished, doesn't matter how. Now Minnie's evasive. Can still challenge Minnie with Pongo. So it's interesting to go Queen of Hearts and challenge the Minnie, I think. Because Mufasa can't swing back and get sacrificed. We get a card for the exchange. Let's go with that. Draw a card. Keeping the board wide also goes in our favor with the Queen of Hearts. Although it doesn't play very well with Lady Tremaine. It'll make the opponent think twice about exerting that Minnie again. Unless there's a Rapunzel, in which case we've just given the health to our opponent. Maui to the ink, so something scarier is waiting for us. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Alright. If that is your play, how about we Lady Tremaine? Other option is to Aladdin. It's a nice spot to just shift an Aladdin here. Let's go for it. I mean, when we take out Mufasa, there's a 4 lore shift, and we get to draw a card off of the Queen of Hearts. It's hard to pass on all that value. And Mufasa rolls into Mufasa. It's a good roll. And Mufasa comes in exerted. Could trade with it with the Queen of Hearts, but the Queen of Hearts is worth too much. So we're just going to pass and turn back. Aladdin versus the Lion King. Before he gets trampled. Hopefully we're doing the trampling. Though, does Lady Tremaine's cat count as a hyena? Is that good enough? Probably not. It's funny keeping that Minnie Mouse in check. A very interesting side effect of having Pongo, especially with Queen of Hearts. Fully expect Mufasa to go and trade with Aladdin, as our opponent should. And to try and test their luck with the top of their deck. Hopefully it's a lantern. Here comes the Mufasa roll. Not a Maleficent. That would be bad. Stitch Rockstar. Equally bad. It's pretty bad for us. We do have a Dragon's Fire to take it out. So we have that at least. And if the opponent puts in 2 weak characters to draw cards off of the Rockstar, we can leverage them off of the Queen of Hearts to do an equivalent exchange of cards. If we get an equivalent exchange of cards, does that mean that we are getting an alchemy format here? Let me know in the comments below if you caught that reference. Oh, okay. Opponent decides to go after Big Stitch, Super Big Stitch, and lets Minnie Mouse on the board to get destroyed. We'll take that. Take a card, and Minnie Mouse is out. Now we have a few very interesting options. Lady Tremaine gets us rid of a 7 or a 6 drop. But I do feel like we really must get rid of that Stitch. So I'm going to ink this and a Hard Dragon fired Rockstar. Might as well resolve another Queen of Hearts because we can. Pongo is safe thanks to his evasiveness. Evasive madness. Score 4-5. Cards in hand favor our opponent. And board is interesting. Slightly ahead on ink. Let's say it's a fair game. The Mufasa Stitch Rockstar really hurts. Not gonna lie. And that turn where the opponent didn't do anything on 5 played very nicely in our favor. So that's kind of a counterbalance. It's the downside of playing a high curve deck like that. This means Mufasa has more hits, but it means that sometimes you just whiff on playing stuff on time. And opponent resolved the Maui, so we're gonna land our Lady Tremaine, forcing the opponent to sacrifice one of their big dudes on the battlefield. Surf time's over, boys. And we'll quest with Pongo. I think we just pass here. I'm not sure what I'd want to ink. I mean, inking card soldiers to try and get to 9 faster doesn't seem like the best of options. Highlighting Lady Tremaine. A very powerful card. I mean, we're getting a 3/4 that quests for 2, which is way subpar, but we've taken out a Maui just like that. Speaking of taking out something just like that, goodbye, Queen of Hearts. There's a bigger, better queen in dragon form that decided to take your throne out. Mufasa has 5 power. We can trade with her with a Maui if we want to. I think this is the point where we just quest. Quest for 5. We don't have a nice 8. Consider ourselves up for nice 9. But then we dragon fire to Stitch. Dragon fire to Stitch. Eat up a Maui and land card soldiers. No, we can't land card soldier if we eat. I need to set up turn of 9 next turn. So I think we just ink the Maui, draw the card soldier, and aim to go for Dragonfire Pongo next turn if we draw an inkable. We are getting later turns of the game, so if I can set up a double spell turn, it's likely going to be worth it. And we get to play card soldiers. I mean, people can't say that every day. Gonna help the Queen of Hearts. Opponent takes out Lady Tremaine. So as there's not too many more of those Maleficents or Lady Tremaines on the opponent's side of the board, should be in fine shape. See, the opponent keeps on looking at card soldier. I'm afraid of a Maleficent targeting card soldier. Which, oh, targeting Pongo. Okay. Well, burn characters burn. Card soldiers can take out Stitch and live, so that's likely going to happen. We probably want to take out that Maleficent and drop a Pongo. So I'm gonna sacrifice that Mulan. I hope that the opponent runs out of Maleficents. So that the opponent can trade with our card soldier and play a card or two. And then we get first quest going to 14. 14-8. And hopefully Pongo can get us all the way to victory. That's a game plan at least. Did sacrifice a bunch of cards to make that double card turn happen. Oh, the third Maleficent. I don't think we'll recover from this. Unless we top deck like Minnie Mouse. Well, we'll land our Shere count. It's a card. But at this point, I'm really looking more for evasive characters, heavy card draw, which we're not really playing, an Aladdin maybe. Opponent drops the Gottel Rapunzel combo. Ouch. So Mother Gottel comes in with 3 points of damage, which Rapunzel just heals very quickly. And nets them 3 cards. Yeah, Felicia, not quite what we're looking for. So I think our window of opportunity is closing very fast. But we got a good game out of it. It's that third Maleficent and the Mother Gottel Rapunzel combo. But mostly that second and third Maleficent that kind of sealed the deal for our opponent. It's a nice Mufasa style deck. Maybe I should be making another Mufasa deck. Let me know in the comments below if you want another Mufasa deck. And what do you want to see the Mufasa with? Because that Ruby Amber list seems pretty sweet. I'm sure there's something nice to do there. I did one with Amethyst, where you could kind of predict what you were going to hit. But you don't have as big hits like Maleficent or Brave Little Tailor. Opponent can quest for 8. Attack, Felicia. And Shere count, well, you can quest. Can go to 14, and that is everything. Could concede, but it's close enough. We'll just let the opponent quest a victory and savor that win. Very fun Mufasa deck to play against. Our deck stood a chance. We almost got there. But again, near the end, we just couldn't go the extra mile. Let's see what we can do with Ruby against ruby-amethyst. Going first, which is pretty good upside. Felicia, Maui's. Not exactly cards we want against ruby-amethyst. As well as card soldiers. Gonna ink that Felicia. Have a couple of 3-drop options. Alright, we have a pair of Queen of Hearts. It's interesting. Can we get enough card advantage off of those? Opponent inks a Minnie. Plays a Minnie. Always stylish. And on 3. Well, let's ink that Aladdin. Because I think we're going to be playing Shere Khan instead. And we'll land our Queen of Hearts, Impulsive Ruler. Looking at Minnie and judging her style. Minnie goes on a quest. And Madame Min Snake bounces it right back. Nothing to take out for us. And we don't really want to quest with that Queen of Hearts. Well, we can resolve a Shere count. I don't like our odds in this matchup, but we're going to try it anyways. Another Minnie goes to the ink. Madam and Fox bounces the snake. It's kind of a chain of evolution. Minnie Mouse gets dressed really well, then she becomes a hairy snake. Then the snake turns into a fox. Normal cycle of life things. Ooh, and here, if we want to play something, we need to shift the big Queen of Hearts. That's kind of feel bad. Otherwise, we don't land anything, so I think we have to shift. And we can quest with Shere, enabling Madam and Fox. Well, fairly even trade, really. I just hate spending 2 cards to have a Queen of Hearts, which is one of the best cards in this matchup, and not triggering her ability. But we gotta do what we gotta do. Serve Girl Minnie comes in. Oh, we're gonna ink a Maui since we have already good enough removal. Play some card soldiers. And pass a turn. Oh, card soldiers. 5/5 quest for 2. Nothing more, nothing less. Opponent plays a Madam and Fox, which will trade with our Queen of Hearts. But with all the bouncing the opponent's been doing, there's not much on their board. We find Aladdin, which is unfortunately going to have to go to the ink, and we'll start questing. Keep Lady Tremaine. Yes, it is extra cards on the board, but her opponent sacrifices a character type of ability is just too good. Speaking of which, our opponent just plays one of them Lady Tremaine's. Well, let the Lady Tremaine ball begin, as Lady Tremaine forces a sacrifice of Lady Tremaine. Which is gonna... It'd be funny if our opponent has another Lady Tremaine. Because then it's just Tremaine, 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 and all that remains is a Lady Tremaine. Opponent drops an Ursula. Which means we'll play the second Tremaine. Putting the opponent in a slightly difficult spot now. Kind of forcing them to have a be prepared. Also, Snow Queen would also be nice, but we have a Dragon's Fire for it. Oh. No be prepared. Opponent goes for card advantage. Spellbook Maleficent. Maybe we have a shot at this after all. We'll pick up a Namaari. I think if the opponent had to be prepared, it would have been played last turn. So I'm going to behave like the opponent doesn't have it. Go Namaari. All in at the poker table of Lorcana. If the opponent has all the answers, we're not going to win. So let's take some unnecessary risk and get punished for them heavily. Well, I think it was a necessary risk. Ooh, Stitch Abomination. Let's see what the opponent thinks of that. Ursula comes in. Is that even the first chapter card, Stitch Abomination? I'm not sure anymore. Yes, it is. We find small Aladdin, and we're gonna Dragon Fire at Ursula. And yes, Little Stitch quests for 3. Big threat on the table. Maleficent Dragon ends the game on the spot. Be prepared. Our little, I was going to say common, but apparently abominations are rare. So apparently that rare is where to be prepared. Alright, well, Aladdin. We still have big threats. Still have some pressure. And the opponent does play some 1-drops and some Madam Mins. So it's not like they will automatically keep on drawing better high-end threats than we will. It's likely, but it's not automatic. Peter Pan's Shadow. I'm gonna have to go read that one. It's not one I see every day. But our move doesn't change very much. We're gonna land a hit with Aladdin, or a quest with Aladdin, play the small Aladdin, drop you 1 ink. Peter Pan's Shadow. 2/3 evasive, rush, and your other characters with rush gain evasive. So we can't target that dead Maui. So it's an evasive 2 quest there. This is a bit of a pickle here. Quest with Aladdin. Can't play both, so we'll land Namaari. And we are indeed... Oh, actually, we're dead. We're just dead here. Alright. Well, I wasn't big on Peter Pan's Shadow. I'm still not big on the card, but apparently it won our opponent the game among other high potential threats that the opponent has played. But there was some good back and forth, considering this was a ruby-amethyst matchup, and I'm okay with the performance of our deck. We put up a good fight, we made a risky move, and the opponent had to be prepared. But that, when you're playing a deck with slightly weaker cards, and you know you're not optimal, sometimes you do have to take these extra risks to try and win the games. So that'll be my takeaway from this game. And yeah, it was somewhat close. I hope that you've enjoyed this video featuring Mono Ruby, a deck list where we impose on ourselves an unreasonable restriction to kind of test the limits of the ink and kind of gauge a little bit the type of things that I do in limited when you don't have access to the full card pool. Let me know in the comments below if you like this style of video where we impose ourselves a restriction, try to build around it, even though the results are not fantastic. I mean, we're 0 for 3 in the 3 games that are displayed in the video, and much worse in the games that I didn't show that were just landslides for the opponent. But it did highlight some of the cards, some of their potential. I mean, we've had Stitch Abomination in the deck. How often do you see that? And we've seen that Aladdin's also not quite as potent as what it used to be with the first chapter. A little bit of power creep with the Rise of Floodborn. So we've seen that. Queen of Hearts is one of the best cards in the deck, but she just, in certain matchups where the opponent doesn't exert a lot of characters, she's not as powerful, and she's kind of a sitting duck as a 4/3 quest for 1. A little disappointing. But we did have some takeaways from the deck list. The games were quite interesting, I find. Again, let me know in the comments below if you've enjoyed the games where we got demolished. And yeah, I'm looking forward to your feedback and see if I should be doing other mono ink videos and cover the other inks or other types of restrictions. Maybe a budget, maybe a singleton style deck. So these are the types of things that I'm pondering, or if we want to go back to just the special archetypes, which I do still plan on doing. Maybe just a little mix and match of the restrictions and the cool archetypes and the high-powered deck lists. Let me know what you'd like me to cover, what you enjoy, and I hope you've had a great time. Don't forget to thumbs up the video, and I will see you next time.